verräterischer Jude! No, mein Führer. I'm from Arizona.
Welcome back to the excessively gratuitous world of Wolfenstein. Today we'll be taking a look at the newly released sequel to the New Order, Wolfenstein II, The New Colossus, with 15 things I love or hate. Be sure to check out my review on the New Order if you haven't already, as I'll be referencing many things from that video here. I'll have a link in the description. Finally, with this being a new game, I want to give anyone a chance to avoid spoilers, so I'll be giving a generous warning in the middle of the video when we'll be moving into spoiler territory. Let's kick things off with the first improvement in the New Colossus, the updated character models. While you could simply think the passage of 3 years would be enough for the bump up in graphical fidelity, I think it goes a little bit deeper than that. The New Order was no graphical slouch, but its art style was a bit weird, with BJ looking nearly like a caricature of your stereotypical meathead protagonist. The game had an almost animated style to it that fit well within the over-the-top world, and though the New Colossus does keep that style, it manages to make the character models look like a generational leap forward in terms of realism. BJ looks a million times better, and he's not the only character that gets an overhaul. I'd continue my praise, but other than the characters, it really is a beefed up New Order, which is lovable in its own right. What I really love is how the New Colossus has ways of keeping the action fast-paced throughout, in contrast to the New Order. The laser weapon in the New Order required you to cookie-cut holes into grates and fences and fit BJ's gargantuan body through it, but in the New Colossus you simply shoot and melt anything that opposes you, be it grate or enemy. Take a look at those particle effects! They addressed another minor gripe of my pacing complaints by vastly improving the objective marker system. I had a few commenters call me out for hating on the lack of objective markers in the New Order, so let me explain a little better why I want them in the game. In a game like this, where it lives or dies on its action as a form of entertainment, anything that slows the pacing down can break the immersion. I know that many feel objective markers are immersion breaking in their own right, and I don't disagree with that completely. If I had to choose though between having my hand held a bit or having the fast-paced action slow to a crawl in the moments where I get lost, I'd happily get taken by the hand. It's a game about getting from point A to point B as fast and as stylishly as possible while blowing through as much Nazi trash as you can in the process. Which is thankfully another complaint 100% addressed in this game from its predecessor. The New Order had a clear problem in the endgame. You did too little damage while your enemies did loads of it. In this game, you still take an absurd amount of damage, but you're able to dish it out just as readily. Every single weapon in the game is good enough to allow you to run around like a madman, smashing through your foes as long as you can dive through cover wisely, make use of armor and health pickups, and keep your aim true. It still feels challenging, yet I never felt frustrated because I felt like any time I died, it was due to my own error, not because my enemies outclassed my DPS 10 times over. I'll even admit that sometimes I don't care about challenge in a game. There are of course games that I want to challenge me, but then there's games that are the gameplay equivalent of a summer blockbuster movie. When it comes to this game, I'm here for the entertainment and to shut my brain off, not strategize heavily about what gun to use on who, how to conserve ammo, where my positioning is, yada yada. I simply want to run around, smash in some Nazi skulls, and keep the action pumping as fast as possible. This is made even more viable by the new health mechanics. In the first half of the game, you max out at base 50 health, but you're given 200 armor, a 100 increase from the first game. Eventually, you do return to the 100-100 setup from the first game, but by this time, you'll likely have received upgrades to your weapons and perks that match your playstyle to make the endgame more balanced for you. This is leagues better than the bullshit in the New Order where your health or armor upgrades are tied to an arbitrary decision in the beginning of the game whether to kill Fergus or Wyatt, and that doesn't even tell the player that that decision is gonna make that happen. The choice of killing Wyatt or Fergus wasn't only tied to potential armor or health upgrades, but also how you would loot in the game. In this game, rather than masquerading your looting options behind that crap, it straight up gives you the option between 3 choices for items and tells you exactly what to do. Become a battering ram, a man with stilts installed, or condense yourself like a pancake to fit in small spaces. All offer versatility in terms of playstyle and are chosen late enough in the game that you'll have an idea of exactly how you want to be playing the game and which upgrade will complement you the most. By that time, you'll not only know what your playstyle is, but you'll have the toolkit to back it up. This game has an in-depth perk system just as the New Order did, but it's vastly proved upon in this game for one simple reason. You never have to look in the menu to search through what you need to do. Instead, whenever you complete a kill or an objective that progresses a particular perk, it pops up on your screen and gives you an indication of how far you've come. This constant reminder allows you to stay further entrenched in the action while never forgetting what you need to do to progress your strengths. In turn, it shows you naturally what your strengths are. For example, if you keep seeing the progress bar for stealth kills pop up, you can infer that you like to approach things through stealth. It's easy to fall into that style because stealth in this game is yet another improvement over the first game. The mechanics remain largely the same. You crouch and sneak to get kills, have a throwable weapon, silence pistol through upgrades, etc, etc. The difference in this game is that the opportunities for stealth are far greater because of the great level design. Every single level offers you the opportunity to approach approach via stealth or guns blazing. The commanders that call reinforcements appear far more often, encouraging a stealth approach. Their notifiers are changed to become a point and compass as well, giving you further tools to succeed in stealth. I would say at least 3 to 4 of the encounters in this game can be completed entirely in stealth, whereas in the New Order, it would make it nearly impossible to complete some areas in stealth without doing them painfully slow with a dash of luck. Before we get into spoiler territory, I can summarize these thoughts rather simply. In every single way, the new Colossus is a gameplay and graphical improvement over the New Order. A comparison that's often offered is how Assassin's Creed 2 took everything Assassin's Creed did well and made it better and threw out the unneeded baggage. I feel like this is exactly what the new Colossus does over the New Order, so I can recommend it on that basis alone. Alright, I'm giving you time to leave before spoilers. If you're headed out, thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoy the game yourself when you get a chance to play it. Final warning, here we go. The New Order had a quality narrative that outshines most other competitors in the FPS genre, but the new Colossus takes that to the next level and then some. There are a few reasons for this, starting with the emotional gravitas of the game. The New Order has its moments, but for the most part it's a game that relies on shock value and huge set pieces to carry its weight. The new Colossus barely gives you time to breathe in its opening. You go from watching yourself get carried out of Death's Head's compound barely clinging to life to flashbacks of your childhood with your doting mother and abusive father. When I say abusive, I mean it. This game somehow manages to make Hitler less of a monster than BJ's father. That's probably because they make Hitler into a crotchety joke of a man and give you the opportunity to kick the feeble shit stain in the head for funsies, but still, watching his dad beat his mom and throw a dog against the wall is infuriating. You think that's bad? Wait until he ties you down and forces you to shoot the pup. Don't want to? Neither did I. I shot the wall and he called me a pussy before shooting the bitch himself. He then proceeds to sell his mom into slavery to gain the Nazis' favor, and gives them BJ's location when he returns home to get his mother's prize ring to propose to that hot nurse from the first game. This man truly embodies what it means to be the scum of the earth. He's a racist, selfish, abusive shell of a little man that deserves every bit of his death by your hands. I've rarely hated a character so much in a game, but that's thanks to the incredible character development. I've already given some indication into how they shape the characters better in the new Colossus with us getting into the head of BJ. Learning his past helps us understand his motivations better, but he isn't the only character that gets quality advancement. The new Colossus offers a plethora of side missions to help you get to know each side character better, but even if you don't participate in them, you'll learn who the biggest players are merely by playing the story itself. This time around I went with Fergus and learned how crazy and hilarious he can be. He loses his arm early in the game and has an eternal battle with his new mechanical arm for dominance. You get Frau Engel's thick child on your squad too, and she goes from being a timid roly-poly who takes the crew's abuse to asserting her dominance and sexuality as she pleases. And the cream of the crop is who I refer to affectionately as Asswipe.
Fuck is this?
A ladder?
What the fuck is this, man? Is this
Oh.
working
That's a toilet.
I see before me? Handle toward my hand? Do you have asswipe?
Asswipe is your stereotypical conspiracy theorist believing that aliens are the ones who gave the Nazis their superior technology. While we know from the first game it came around from a secret society, that's not stopping this loon. Though he's not the scary kind of insane, but rather that perfect blend of psychotic and absurd that makes him endearing. He has a scene that absolutely steals the show too, but I'm not gonna spoil that. It's a long scene that you have to see for yourself to really appreciate it. There's many more fantastic characters, and you get to know enough about them that you feel truly invested in seeing them succeed in their mission. That mission is a lot higher stakes this time around. In the first game, it almost seemed like a mission of revenge against Death's Head. And don't get it twisted, he's a sick son of a bitch that needed to be put down. Still, the game felt more like your resistance was in shambles and that taking down Death's Head was a small stepping stone toward the ultimate success of liberating yourself from the Nazis. Thankfully, in this game, that angle has stepped up to gathering pieces of other fringe resistance groups together to make your army large enough to make a real push for change. And just as the goal itself is grander and the characters in your group are better developed, the antagonist of the game, Frau Engel, is leagues better than Death's Head. It helps that you had the New Order's backing to her character, but she takes her twisted ideals and bloodlust for you and your resistance group to unimaginable heights in this game. It becomes all too clear how BJ isn't merely a nuisance to the Nazis, but a representation that their power can be challenged. She makes a mockery out of him at every opportunity and causes many heavy blows to the resistance throughout, giving you all the motivation you need to take the bitch down. This is but a small part of the improved pacing the game has overall. I don't simply mean that the story's pacing is better, but the game as a whole is better. Levels in the game are split up into more bite-sized chunks so they never outstay their welcome, and you're given a ton of cutscenes in between each one that has all the development I talked about before. During your missions, you're often kept much more connected with your team, which gives a grounding to the story, making it feel more real. I feel almost as if I'm rambling, but suffice it to say the characters are developed miles better in this game, allowing you to get emotionally invested. This in turn makes Frau Engel a more compelling villain as she stands against you and your loved comrade, and the bang level design and cutscenes keep you interested throughout the entire game. Well, about 90% of the game. It's curious, the final 2 levels in this game feel almost as if they were ripped out of the New Order. I don't think I spent more than 20 minutes on any mission up until these last two stages, but they drag on for what feels like over an hour. Not only are they too lengthy, but there's nearly no story in between like the rest of the game. These missions are on an island at the climax of the game, leaving little to talk about during them, and I think the developers could have just trimmed the fat a little bit. I'll always stand by the idea that less is more when you want to make a quality product, and giving me a bloated extra hour or two of playtime at the end isn't going to make me think your game is better, quite the opposite. Even worse, after working your way through these final 2 dry hours, the game ends pretty damn abruptly. It's a satisfying enough ending with you getting your vengeance on Frau Engel and using a television platform to rile up the masses into revolution, but somehow it feels empty, almost like there's a final mission that was missing or something. I think it's largely in part to how disconnected those final 2 levels feel from your squad and the rest of the game's design. There's sure to be a third game, and though they improved on nearly every complaint I had about the New Order, I'd still like to see them trim the final remaining fat that holds the series back. With that said, I loved this game. It's the first game in our Love or Hate series that I've given the love score to since I first introduced the system, and it's well deserving. It's a marvel in what storytelling can aspire to be in the FPS genre. Has the action-paced gameplay the New Order made me crave but never quite delivered, improves the graphics, offers as many amazing tracks as the first game if not more, and ties it all together for a complete hyper-violent package that I would recommend to anyone. What did you think of the new Colossus? Let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed the video, be sure to leave a like. It's an easy way to let me know you're enjoying the content and is greatly appreciated. Thank you all for watching. I apologize if my voice was really strained in this video. I'm still suffering through a cold, so thank you all for suffering with me. Much love to you all, and I will see you in the next video.